Alright, hi everybody, welcome back. This is going to be a video about the cards I'm really excited for in the new Hearthstone expansion, Scholomance Academy. When I say excited for, that means they're cards I want to put in decks, play around with. I don't know if they'll be competitively viable, I'm sorry. And I don't think that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is not to review cards based on how competitive they are, just to give my opinions on some cards, maybe talk about where they fit in a deck or what I would like to see out of the classes. So just keep that in mind. If you want to go watch someone review the set, watch this video first, then go watch someone else review the set. Just watch me first. But we're going to get into it. There are some classes or dual classes that I do talk about that I have on here that have no cards in them. Some cards I just couldn't get excited about. And that I may eat my words in 2 to 3 months, within the 3 months of this expansion cycle, when I'm putting all the cards from the dual class or all the cards in my class into a deck that I found. But for now, let's get into it. We're going to start off with Demon Hunter and Hunter. And the first card here is True Aim Crescent. It's a 1-mana 1/4 weapon. It says after your hero attacks a minion, your minions attack too. I really like the direction they're pushing Demon Hunter in. Instead of just being a get 'em deck, which don't get me wrong, I love getting them. It's much more of a board presence deck. I can see them pushing more mid-range, especially with a nerf to Warglaves. And I think this card does that really well. I don't think you want to run it right now. I don't think this is a card that Demon Hunter wants. I think it's a card Hunter wants. And I could see maybe Dragon Hunter running this. I could see a Highlander Hunter running this too. Or Face Hunter, because you get those Leper Gnomes attacking. That's kind of scary, and I just thought of that. So, I don't know. I think this has a place. I'm not sure what that place is, but I'm excited to see where it lands. The other card here is Ace Hunter Kreen. Again, pushing Demon Hunter into that more mid-range. And it says it is a 3-mana 2/4. Your other characters are immune while attacking. This card's nuts. I like this. You get this off Skull. It's a 0-mana card. Oh, that's great. But it really gives you board presence, and I think that right now Demon Hunter wants to have board presence, but also wants to go face. I think this works in Hunter much better right now, who wants to fight for board with the tempo, stay on the board, and then go face, and kind of tempo out the game really well. So we'll see. I think this has a place in Demon Hunter. Both these cards have a place in Demon Hunter's future, but right now I think they fit into Hunter nicely. Let's get into Hunter and Druid now. There is only one card here, and it is Guardian Animals. This is really exciting for Druid for a reason we will talk about later, but it's just a really cool card. I think that this never waits till turn 7 to come out. This is a turn 5 play usually with Druid because they have so much ramp. I don't know if Hunter wants to run this. They don't have a lot of bigger beasts that cost 5. They have the Tundra now, so I'm guessing you'll probably see on Trollden some Tundraonic combos. But all things considered, I want to put this in my Druid deck with a card you'll see later. Getting into Druid and Shaman. Druid and Shaman, unfortunately, is one of those classes that I just could not get excited about. So, like I said, I'll leave my words here in a month and a half when I put in all my Druid Shaman cards into a deck. But for now, aside from the 0-mana, gain 2 mana crystals this turn only, Overload 2, there wasn't really much for me to get excited about. And I'm just kind of waiting to see if that card is good and where it fits. There's been plenty of discussion. I didn't want to keep adding to that discussion. But we're going to Mage and Shaman now, and we have Raz Frost Whisperer. It says a 5-mana 3/6 that says at the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemies improved by spell damage. They've had that improved by spell damage mechanic a lot in the past. Well, not a lot. Enough in the past where I think if they keep adding to it, they could make it a keyword. But for now, it's not the discussion. This card's just kind of cool. I think this fits really well into a Highlander deck, especially ones that run like the Azure Explorer. There's a few other cards in Shaman, like the 5-mana Dragon that has spell damage too. And there's a few cards in this whole expansion that add spell damage. So I think this has a place. I think it's really good at controlling the board. I think you want to get rid of it sooner rather than later. And the cool thing about this damage is it goes phase 2. So I think that this card finds a place somewhere. I don't think it finds a place in a spell damage only deck, which I don't think will actually be a deck. I think people will utilize a little more spell damage in the future, though, because of cards in Shaman and Mage and this card. And in Mage and Rogue, we also have one card, and it is Jandis Barov. I realize I am focusing a lot on legendaries. That'll kind of change as we keep going, but early on, I was really excited about the legendaries. There's a ton of legendaries in this pack. Each class gets 3 legendaries. So much money I'm going to have to just spend. But, this card is a 5-mana 2/1. Battle Cry, summon 2 random minions. Secretly pick one that dies when it takes damage. I think that this card, the discussion around this card is pretty on the nose. You know, your opponent will know what cards you picked. It's going to be obvious, but that being said, I don't think it matters because this is 5 mana, 15 value, 10 maybe after you kill one of them. And you kill the one, and if you choose the one that has Death Rattle, that's still value. Like, this card is a value card. I really like the way they went with Mage and Rogue and how it's all with like illusions. I think a Highlander Mage deck wants this card. I don't know what it's taken out, but I think that this card is probably good enough, has enough value that the deck can run that. Rogue, not sure right now. It might be able to slot in, but I mean, it is still tempo. It's value tempo. It's not a bad card. I don't think that your opponent knowing the obvious choice for which one you picked makes it a bad card. Excited to see where it goes. Unsure if it's going to be that competitive. It will be fun though, and I'm excited about some fun. Next up we have Rogue and Warrior, and I've actually picked the common for this one. It is Cutting Class. It's a great pun, which is the reason I picked it, but it also has a really cool effect. It's a 5-mana spell that says draw 2 cards. Costs 1 less per attack of your weapon. Warrior is always going to be a 2 or 3 cost card for Warrior with Inkar and Live Wire Lance. 2 if you have the Bomb Wrench. For Rogue, I think this is a little harder to justify. It always costs 4 with your Dagger. This Rogue may start running more cards. There is the legendary in this dual class that gives your weapon +1 attack, which does decrease the cost of this. And there's Greenskin. I think this is a really good card. I think that you're probably making Warrior and Rogue a little more weapon-based. I don't know if this gives Warrior Galakron, the idea to run Galakron. Not sure on that yet. I guess not, because this isn't about your attack, it's about the attack of your weapon. And Galakron doesn't often have a weapon equipped. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm kind of spitballing here. I'd like to see Galakron and Warrior run a little more. We'll see. Excited about the card for the potential this card has. In Warrior and Paladin, we also have another 1 card, and it's Shield of Honor. This card is nuts! I don't know why Blizzard decided to print this card. 1 mana, give a damaged minion +3 attack and Divine Shield. Your Grom in Enraged Warrior just went from 12 attack to 15 with charge. That's nuts. Paladin, board-centric buff. It's great. This is just a good card. Will it be nerfed? Don't know. Should it be printed at 1? Maybe not, because Rampage is +3/+3 cost 2. I don't know. This card is just nuts. I'm excited to see this card. I'm excited that Paladin has more buffy cards now and making their buff boys and getting better cards. The fact that this is Warrior kind of scares me. But we're going to get into Paladin and Priest. 1 card here. Also, Devout Pupil. Again, I really like the way they're pushing Paladin to be more buff-oriented than just a conglomeration of Murloc secrets, sometimes weapons. And I also like how they're pushing Priest in the more minion-based value buff rather than just spells that remove everything. And Devout Pupil is a 6-mana 4/5 Divine Shield Taunt, which is already a pretty decent card that says cast 1 less for each spell you've cast on friendly characters this game. This card's just good. This card never costs 6. With Librams, this card goes down to 0 pretty quickly. It's just a good card. It goes in your Pure Paladin deck. Not sure if it finds a place in Priest yet. I still think they're in that transition phase from obnoxious, annoying board clears to buff minions to be annoying. We'll see. I'm excited about this, but I think it slots more in Paladin than Priest. But speaking of Priest, we have Priest and Warlock next to as a little aside. I love playing Warlock. Reno Lock was one of my favorite decks. Cube Lock was one of my favorite decks. The first time I ever got to rank 5 was with a Zoo discard deck. I just love Warlock. Love me some Warlock. And I love all these cards. I liked all 4 of the cards for this. Not just as a Warlock player, but I think they fit pretty well in Priest too. But I've only focused on 2 of them. The first one being the legendary Disciplinarian Gandling. It is a 4-mana 3/6, which is a great stat line. This can come down on 4 and probably survive most times. That says, after you play a minion, destroy it and summon a 4/4 failed student. This is just a better Dark Pharaoh Takan. It gives all minions 4/4, and it fits really well in Zoo. One thing about this that I kind of think that why it's a Priest is because Priest has some good Death Rattles. I don't know if you want to run this in a Death Rattle Priest deck. This is definitely a Zoo card. And I'm really excited to use it as a Zoo card. I think as Priest gets more cards, especially if they're really good Death Rattles, this card will see playing that deck. I think right now it's a little hard to fit into any Priest deck, but I would watch out for this down the road in a Priest deck. And then we also have Raise Dead. So the whole mechanic of Priest and Warlock is that you are changing your health. Priest heals usually, Warlock hurts themselves. And Raise Dead kind of helps facilitate that. It's a 0 mana common. Deal 3 damage to your hero. Return 2 friendly minions to your hand that died this game. It's a really good card. I'm not sure how I would use this in a Warlock deck. I'm excited to use this card, especially because it's 0 mana. 0 mana cards are usually really good. And I just really like the flavor of this card and how it fits between the 2 classes. I'm excited to see how this is used. Right now, I'm seeing it more as a Priest card that wants to resummon some Death Rattle value, but we'll see. I'm excited for it, a little scared of it, but if it's not exciting, if it's not scary, it's not exciting. So we're going into Warlock and Demon Hunter, and the only card I want to just talk about the mechanic. I'm doing it with 1 card. The rest of the class has the dual class has this mechanic, and so does Warlock and Demon Hunter. So instead of talking about that all in when I get to both of those other classes, we're going to talk about it here real quick. And the idea is that you play a spell or a minion. In this case, we're playing Soul Shear. 2 mana spell that deals 3 damage to a minion, shuffles 2 soul fragments into your deck. The soul fragments, and I'm sorry I don't have a picture, are cast when you're drawn spells that restore 2 health to your hero. Now, the Demon Hunter Warlock cards all use them, and this card is just great. This card's a nice control tool. Well, I think Warlock benefits a little more from these for the healing, and because most of the Warlock spell soul fragments, create a control orientation, which I'm really happy about because I have been waiting for Warlock to get more control tools. But I'm not sure if you want to run the legendary. I think it's a little slow, but we'll see. I'm excited for this. I'm probably going to build a controlling Warlock deck on day 1, lose a bunch of games, then scrap the deck. Now we get into single class, and we have 3 for Demon Hunter. The first one is Glide. This card has a lot to talk about. I don't want to bog down what's already been said about Glide in the millions of online discussions. Here's my thoughts on it. Glide is a 4-mana spell that says shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards. Outcast, your opponent does the same. This does not fit into the current iteration of Demon Hunter. This gets sticks in your hand and messes up your skull, which is what you want. You want skull more than this in that deck. This fits in a very aggressive, low curve deck that hopes that you have this card and you just refill. I don't know if that deck will be good. I hope it is because I want to play some really aggressive decks. So we'll see. I do think that in the aggro mirror, this card is a little less good. It gives your opponent cards. And even in control, by the time you play this card, your opponent's either already dead or they have answers to your board and you're just giving them more cards. The thing with control matchups that I think a lot of people overlook is you're not hoarding the cards in your hand, you're using them to control the board. So if you're using your cards, you need cards anyways. So if they shuffle your hand too, that's great. So I don't think this card is as broken as everyone thinks it is. I think it is disruption, and that's important to think about. But I think this is more of a tech card than a build-around card. The other two cards I'm going to talk about at the same time, they are Marrow Slicer and Soul Shard Lapidary. Marrow Slicer is a 4-mana 4/2 weapon that says Battle Cry, shuffle two soul fragments into your deck. This goes into my current Demon Hunter list at the 4 spot. I don't care what its text is. It could say whenever you attack, you lose half your health. Right now, Demon Hunter is struggling doing anything on 4, so this is great. And it curves out really well with Soul Shard Lapidary. It says Battlecry, destroy a soul fragment in your deck to give your hero +5 attack this turn. That is awesome. That's a really good card. It's a 5-mana 5/5. I'm playing both of these cards. It makes I think if decks don't adjust appropriately, it just makes Demon Hunter that much better. I'm really excited for both those cards. I'm excited for Glide too, but Marrow Slicer and Soul Shard Lapidary, I am super excited for. Well, let's get into Druid, and we're going to talk about Druid here because, oh my god, they have a great card, and it goes great with that card Guardian Animals. It is Twilight Runner. Twilight Runner is a 5-mana 5/4 beast with stealth that says whenever this attacks, draw 2 cards. It's really good. That's great. Back in the day when I was a much younger man, 22 instead of 26, people played Stranglethorn Tiger, which is a 5-mana 5/5 beast with just stealth. You didn't draw any cards. This is just a better card. I know Powder Creep keeps games interesting, but this card's nuts. This card's nuts with Guardian Animals. You summon 2 of these, you draw 4 cards. It's awesome. That's a good card. I'm down to play some Beast Druid if it's good. I don't think this card makes that deck good. This card makes that deck better. I'd like to see if Beast Druid's good. I know I'm kind of hyping up Beast Druid a little bit with saying this is a really good card. This is a really good card. But this isn't a win condition anything. It doesn't win you a game. It creates a 5/4 with draw 2 cards, which is really good. It's a really good card, but it's not a win con. I think it's really close to a mid-range deck. I don't want to keep ranting and lose my space, so we're just going to go on to Hunter. And I'm really excited about this card. It is Prolusk Bark Stripper. Is a 4-mana 3/5 beast that says Spell Burst, destroy a random enemy minion. I was really excited about this when I saw this card. The more I thought about it, this is just a Rottennest Drake that doesn't require a dragon, which isn't a bad thing. That's a good removal. Because even though this comes down on 4, you're not going to be able to play a spell until next turn, so it is a 5-mana destroy a random enemy minion. But that's really good. It only happens once. Remember, Spell Burst only happens the first time a spell is cast. But yeah, I think you run this in maybe Highlander Hunter. I think you find a spot for this in the Highlander Hunter. It's not as aggressive as Rottennest Drake, which I think is an issue for putting this in a deck. It's still a really good card, though, and I'm excited to play around with it and see where it fits. Next, we have Mage. We have 2 cards here. The first one is Cram Session. Again, this is a card improved by spell damage. It's a 2-mana spell that reads draw 1 card, improved by spell damage. You don't need a lot to make this card good. You can only have spell damage +1, and you'll draw 2 cards. That's already a better Arcane Intellect. Like I said, I think this card just slots into a deck, and if you happen to have spell damage, great. If you don't, you still get a card. I don't think you build around spell damage, like I said with Raz. Frost Whisper. I think you just build a deck that has spell damage, and if you get the benefit of that spell damage, that is awesome. The other card I'm really excited about is Firebrand. Firebrand is a 3-mana 3/4 mage minion that says Spell Burst, deal 4 damage, randomly split among all enemy minions. This is kind of a retrain of Flame Walker, which was a 3-mana 3/4, I believe. Might be have been a 2/4, doesn't matter, but his effect was whenever you cast a spell, deal 2 damage split among all enemy characters. This is a little toned down, only can hit minions, and only does it once. But I'm excited about this because it feels like they're bringing a tempo-oriented mage back, and I'm really excited to play that if it exists. Would love to just play cards that burn out opponents and use and free stuff. Like playing Seeker Mage in Kobolds and Catacombs was a really fun time. So we'll see if this becomes a thing. I'm excited to see if it does. Paladin, we have Blessing of Authority. It's a 5-mana spell that says, give a minion +8/+8. It can't attack heroes this turn. The card's really good. Yeah, you can't get them this turn. But I mean, you play this on a 1-cost minion, it's a 9/9. That's really good. Control decks remove it with spot removal, but that doesn't matter. This is a really good card. I am excited to play some Paladin. Board-centric, mid-range buffing Paladin. And this card's probably a one-off in that deck. We'll see if it's any good. Knowing my track record, probably not. We'll see, though. I'm excited. Next, we got Priest. I have 2 cards here for Priest I'm excited about. First one is Mind Renderer Elucia. A 2-mana 1/3. Battle Cry. Swap hands and decks with your opponent until your next turn. A lot of people are kind of freaking out about this card. This is and Ridiculous Hat said this is a dirty rat. I think it's somewhere in between. This is a combo disruptor and nothing more. You're playing against a Malygos Druid. They get around their 10 mana. You switch, their deck's all gone. You switch decks in hand. See the combo. You just play out the cards that would be in the combo when you disrupt it. That's all this is. I think it's a cool way of doing it, but I don't think it's anything crazy. I don't think this card's that nuts. If I recall correctly, when you switch decks, your opponent does not draw on the start of their turn. So I think that's true, and I'm not sure if that's true. But I believe I read a tweet that said that somewhere. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. Correct me or move on with your life because it's not that big a deal. But the second card is Cabal Acolyte. This card's nuts. 4-mana 2/6 taunt with a spell burst. Gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack. This card is a really good stat line. The taunt makes it even better. I didn't think of that taunt when I first read it. I kind of was like, oh, 4-mana 2/6, whatever. But it has taunt. Your opponent has to trade into it, and there's a spell in this game, in this set, that sets the health of all enemy minions to 1. It's a Paladin Priest card. This card goes really well with that. This card's just a really good control card, and I might have to start playing Priest. I don't know if I want to, but it feels like old school control lock, where it's just play the thing, be annoying, disrupt, and I'm kind of into that. So we'll see if I make a more controlling Priest deck. Don't hate me if I do. For Rogue, we have 1 card. It is Secret Passage. 1-mana spell, replace your hand with 5 cards from your deck and swap back next turn. This card's great. It's really good in tempo matchups where you may run out of steam, which Rogue doesn't really do right now. Then you draw 5 new cards, use those cards, and create more tempo. It's a really good card. I see this card being played a lot. We played Myers Unstable Element, which just filled your hand and then destroyed your deck. This doesn't even do that. This just gives you 5 new cards for a turn. I think you play this 10 times out of 10. For Shaman solo class. Sorry, Shaman, you are not impressing me this time around. Gotta move on. Sorry. We're going to Warlock, though. Now, with Warlock, I like all of the Soul Fragment cards. I don't want to talk about all of them. What I'm going to talk about is Void Drinker. I love me some demons. Warlock, I guess, is my favorite class, and this just kind of moves away from the Dragon package with Crazed Netherwing. Void Drinker's a 5-mana 4/5 demon with Taunt and Battlecry. Destroy a soul fragment in your deck to gain +3/+3. This is an Earth Elemental that has no downside. Earth Elemental is that 5-mana 7/8 Taunt, which I think is Overload 2 or 3. This just is a 4/5 with Taunt. Finely statted minion. It's a 7/8 with Taunt if you have a Soul Fragment in your deck. It's a good card. I'm excited to play with Soul Fragments. I'm excited to be a more controlling Warlock again without having to run Malygos. We'll see if it's any good, but that's a day one deck for me. So in Warrior, nothing really excited me either. I'm sure there are some very interesting cards within Warrior that I'm just not seeing the lines right now. But we'll get into maybe building a Warrior deck when the expansion drops. I'm sure someone will, and I'll be like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I'll build a Warrior deck. For now, I'm just kind of on the cards I saw. But let's get into the last one. We have 3 neutral cards I want to talk about. And the first one is Educated Elk. Elk. Educated Elk is a 3-mana 3/4 beast that reads, whenever a spell is played, this minion remembers it. Death Rattle, shuffle the spells into your deck. This is not as good as regular Augmented Elk from the Boomsday Project. It's a cool card though. I think this may see play in really controlling value decks. I know that Wicked Good was saying Control Priest, which I threw up in my mouth about, but also like Twin Slice, Second Slice. This card remembers those and shuffles in your deck. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that's good or not, but I think creating value of spells for either control or tempo can be pretty good. The second card here is Vectis. Vectis is a card that I'm not sure is good or not, but I like his effect, and it is a 5-mana 4/4 Battlecry. Summon 2 1/1 whelps. Each gains a Death Rattle from a minion that died this game. The issue with this card I see is there's no great Death Rattles right now in Standard. This is a wild card, and it's a card that I'm excited to see used. But we'll kind of see where this card goes from here. I'm excited to play around with it. Maybe like a Death Rattle Hunter exists, or you play Plot Twist Warlock, but you use Death Rattle cards and Betrug instead of the Malygos package. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think this will see play at some point. I'm just not sure where and how. And the last card we want to talk about here is the big man himself, face of the expansion, Headmaster Kel'Thuzad. He's a 5-mana 4/6. Says Spell Burst. If the spell destroys any minions, summon them. I think this is really good for control decks. It's value. I want to play it. I want to use it. I want to brawl and win and get a whole bunch of minions, which will happen like once. And I'm going to submit it to Trollden. It's gonna be awesome. In real talk, though, I think this card is pretty powerful. I think this card has to be used wisely. I don't think you just play this and play a spell that kills one thing. I think you play this at the right time. You get a minion from your opponent or your own minion. I think you can utilize on your own minions too. That just creates value for you. I think you want to be creative with this card. I think it's just a good card, and I'm excited to use it in some way, shape, or form, and I'm not sure what that is yet. Maybe Control Warlock. I keep getting hung up on that, I'm sorry. Control Priest instead. But no, I'm really, really, really excited to play with all the new cards and play with the cards I specifically mentioned. And I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. I will be putting up a pack opening a little later after this comes out, so look out for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter at SamSeesGhosts. I will put out a pack opening video and a vlog in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.